What is up, folks at home? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you all about sharpening up those auger blades for ice fishing season. Going to do a full how-to, taking these blades off, touching them up with the stones, and getting back out and cutting that ice. Let's dive in. It's going to be a good one. All right, everybody, so there are three things that we need to sharpen up these auger blades. Number one, we're going to need a set of Allen wrenches because we're going to have to get these bolts off that hold on the blades. Second thing that we're going to need is some multi-purpose oil for sharpening. And the third thing we're going to need is a sharpening stone. I like the combination sharpening stone. This is from Harbor Freight. I got it for like $3. I've had it for years. It's like $50 to get new blades this time of year. So what you want to do first is clean off your auger so you can see these nuts first. And you want to take note of how your blades are arranged on your auger. So that's how mine are. You see those beveled edges on the inside of that auger. I want to make sure that I understand how those blades are attached before I take them off because I'm going to have to put them back on. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is loosen up these screws. You want to be careful because you're working with blades here. Don't want to cut yourself like I almost just did. So work these lefty-loosey. Start with the outside screws. Keep these where you're going to remember where they're at. Get one blade totally off first. I like to turn this one out of the way so that I can get a good grip and I'm not worried about hurting my fingers. All right, now we got both blades off. You can see these blades have different edges. This beveled edge you want to stay away from. We're going to do the majority of the sharpening on this edge right here. So see the different edges? Let's start working on those blades. All right, now that we got both blades off, we can see that there are two very different edges. Here you have that nice cutting edge, and on this side you kind of have that bevel. And you can see they're very clearly different, and that is because that's the way that they're going to cut. So we don't really want to touch the side with the bevel on it at all. Just a little bit at the end. We want to touch this side a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my 2-in-1 sharpening stone, my coarse and fine. I'm going to start with the coarse and then go to the fine. I'm going to set that stone there. And I'm going to put a generous amount of oil on this stone, right? Oil is a good thing in this process. Now, I'm going to take this blade and I'm going to hold it 4 fingers on the top, 1 finger on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is spread this oil out on the stone just like that so it's good. And what I want to focus on this blade is I want to get this turned like that. So that edge is exactly meeting. So you can see it kind of vertically here. That edge is exactly meeting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in slow circles. So now that we understand how that blade goes there, we're going to put it on that stone, get more oil. Right, get plenty of oil on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that nice edge and I'm going to go in circles, just like this. Slow circles, pull that oil into the stone, onto the blade. And what I'm doing is I'm touching up any nicks in the blade. So as I'm going in slow circles on that cutting edge, what I'm doing is I'm cleaning up any nicks in that blade. And that happens from hitting hard spots in the ice, just from wear and tear. A lot of guys get new blades a lot. You don't have to do that. You can save a lot of money simply by getting a sharpening stone and learning to do this yourself. I sharpen my blades probably at the beginning of the season and about halfway through just because I like to cut holes and I like to cut a lot of holes. So it makes the process quicker for me. And what I'm doing is I'm working from one end of the blade to the other with those slow circles. Once you run out of oil, get more oil on that blade. And what I'm doing, you can see here, I am cleaning up the edge of this blade, right? So you can see here, it's getting nice, polished, and shiny and clean as we're doing those slow circles. Now, real time doing this, I'm probably going to spend about 10 minutes on each blade, right? So we're working here, and I'm just working from my pointer finger down to my pinky finger with this blade. And I really want to get those circles and make sure that this cutting edge is sharp as can be. Now, one thing that I like to do to really get to that edge and make sure I'm hitting it right is stand that stone up just like this and really get those big slow circles, focusing on getting the length of the blade. And it really allows you to polish off that blade nicely. And it gives it a good clean edge. You can see I've worked on this edge for about 4 minutes now, and it is right shiny. Getting a lot better, almost ready for the fine side. One thing that helps if you have a towel handy and just wiping that blade down, don't run your fingers down it because you'll cut yourself now that you're sharpening it, but you can really see on that bevel where I am starting to make inroads. You can see there was a little nick in that blade right there. There's a nick in that blade right there. There's a nick in that blade right there from last ice season. So we really just want to get that sharpened down and clean. So we go back to the stone and just really work on hitting those spots with that coarse side to work those edges down back to a sharp, even blade. These blades can take a hell of a beating. Ice auger blades are built for that. A lot of guys give up on their blades too soon. I've had 5 seasons out of these blades, and I've never had an issue taking them off, sharpening them, putting them back on, cutting the ice again. It really is a good system. It works well. You just got to take some time. It takes me about 20 minutes to do this, right? And that's nothing. That's saving me lots and lots and lots of money in the long run. Okay, now we're ready to flip it over. Flip ski over ski, right? And now we're on that fine grit side. So now I'm going to polish these blades up and really put a nice edge on them. Same thing, right? Small circles on that fine grit. And you can hear the difference in the stone, right? I'm really going to put an edge on these things with this side because it's that fine grit, and it really allows that blade to stay sharp and have a good edge. You can do this with your knives, you can do this with your axes, you can do it with all different kinds of things. The length of time just depends upon the edge that you want to put on the blade, and it's all about finding that angle that makes the blade the sharpest. These are really easy because they have that nice manufactured bevel on them, so it really makes it easy. But what you can see from that fine blade side, and if you look at it, that is a really good edge on that blade. All right, now that we got the blade sharpened, right, we're gonna put them back on in the original position that they were. So we got our 4 screws, we got our blades, we got our hex key. I like to set my auger up against my workbench like this so that it's not moving anywhere when I'm putting the blades on. Remember, those orientation of blades are important. You wanna get those blades on there just like they were. You can see where those old markings were. Right there, we're gonna get that blade on. And then we're gonna slowly get these things on. Now, I don't wanna work on them too much. I wanna get that one on, then this one on. I wanna make sure that they're in the correct orientation, right, as we're putting that blade on, so that I am seating those blades correctly, because if the blades aren't seated correctly, they're not gonna function right. And voila, just like that, our blades are back on. We're ready to go cut some ice. So make sure that your blades are seated. Make sure that they're smooth right here, ready to go. And let's go cut some ice.